have roll call, I'd like to say a few things. Commissioner Phelps, he's traveling, he's missing his last meeting today, but I want to thank him for his 16 years of service. And when I got on here, he was a real mentor to me and kind of explained a lot of things, but we're really going to miss him. But we'd like to also welcome Mr. Hillary. He'll be here. We're not having a July meeting, so it'll be in August, but welcome you to the commission.
Commissioner Chapman?
Here.
Commissioner Dill is absent. Commissioner Dillingham?
Here.
Commissioner Mabry?
Here.
Commissioner Zelps is absent. Commissioner Barwick?
Here.
Commissioner Kane?
Good morning.
Here. All right, invitation. Yeah.
Please join me in prayer. Father God, we just come to you thanking you for this day. We thank you for the rain. Thank you for getting us all here safely. We just acknowledge our own frailties and weaknesses and our need for wisdom and guidance, and we look to you for that today. I just ask that everything we do and say today would bring glory and honor to you, that you would that we would leave this place and go back home, keep us safe in those travels. We pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tammy, we'll have an introduction of guests.
Luke Martin with Capital Plus Consultants.
All right, first up, we'll have Nels, Sean McKay on a donation from the Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Foundation.
Commissioners, it's my pleasure to introduce Sean McCabe, and he's here to present you with a donation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Wanted to come in today as we kind of wrap up our fiscal year to make our contribution to the department this year of $293,250. Within all of that, we've got the monies from the gala from the commission tax that you guys so generously donated for that. We also have the money from the most recent Outdoor Oklahoma Adventures raffle, as well as some donations towards the Stars and Stripes program that Wade and I discussed about to help inject some funds into that for licenses for veterans as we have come for some of these things as well. So wanted to present this check and also make some comments that with this check, we've donated over $500,000 this year back to the department. So I feel like we're in a pretty good spot as a foundation. I'm starting to get my legs under me a little bit, and we're making some headway to hopefully continue to make an impact on conservation efforts here in Oklahoma. So wanted to present this check to Wade. Thank you guys.
Motion to approve.
All right.
We have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick? Commissioner Kane? Commissioner Holder?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Sean, on behalf of all the commissioners, I just want to say thank you for the great work that you and the other members of the foundation and the board are doing to further conservation and allowing, raising great funds for the furtherance of conservation in the state. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's really a pleasure and enjoy it. Yeah. A lot of help from a lot of people, you guys all included, and all the staff of the department, and so we're making a lot of progress. Looking forward to the moment we have for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we'll have Bill Jenkins with the resolution establishing hunting days, bag limits.
Mr. Chairman, good morning, Commissioners. So the next several
agenda items are going to be mine, resolutions for various species. I'd just like to go ahead and set the stage that all the resolutions have been reviewed by our legal counsel, as well as our rules committee. So the first one we're going to discuss is the migratory bird resolution. I'd like Paxton Smith to work his way up here. Paxton's our wetland migratory bird biologist since November of 2022. Real quickly, we come to you every year with the resolution. We work with Fish and Wildlife Service using their adaptive harvest management model, which is based on population status and habitat conditions. We also consult with 4 different flyways. So a lot goes into this federal framework, but we are still in the 6-bird bag for ducks, which is good. The only other adjustments will be for calendar roll. There are a few things that Paxton's going to get into a little more detail on, like our split, our youth definition, and our woodcock season. So Paxton.
Thanks, Bill. I just have a couple small things to run through the migratory bird season dates. First off, we have the woodcock season. We're going to continue to kind of align that as close as possible with quail season as we can. We've been getting positive feedback from quail hunters where they're able to pursue more woodcock when in the field. It's kind of a tough one because woodcock season is only 45 days allowed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So we're just trying to adjust that to where it falls in the best, migratory time period. Also, this year with the split, duck season this year is going to be 74-day season again. Luckily, the way the calendar falls, January 31st is a Sunday, so we're able to bump duck season all the way up to the end of January, which duck hunters will appreciate. And then the split this year is, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday weeks, similar to usual. And then we also adjusted the definition of youth in our youth and veteran hunting weekend and regulations from 15 to 17 to closely align with our license package that we made a couple years ago. And we are also under a 3 pintail bag limit for the second of 3 on the experimental pintail hunting season. Any questions?
Not any questions, but a comment in that we appreciate the extended late season because the last 2 years, the best hunting days were the last day of the season in District 8 anyway, so it'd be good to have a few extra days there.
Yes, sir. The calendar falls in a favorable way this year.
Mr. Chairman, the Rules Committee has been set in approval of resolution and let Bill's explain them all.
Are you going to go ahead and vote on that one individually?
We have a second, we have a first.
Mr. Chapman?
Aye.
Mr. Dillingham?
Aye.
Mr. Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Mr. Kane?
Aye.
Commissioner Holder?
So agenda item number 8 is going to be the antlerless deer seasons and bag limits resolution. For this one, I'm going to have Dallas Barber work his way up. Dallas Barber's a big game biologist, been in that position since 2017. I do want to report, maybe stealing some of his thunder, we had another very successful deer season, right around 134,000, which isn't very far off our all-time record harvest. Roughly 45% antlerless deer. So the deer herd is free-ranging deer herd's in great shape. So Dallas is going to talk about some of the additional opportunities in the Panhandle. And then at Commissioner Barwick's request as Rules Chairman, we're going to recommend a proposal to protect our antlerless mule deer statewide. So, Dallas.
Thank you guys for having me this morning. Just a couple things on the deer resolution that we presented here. Everything else as far as our zones go, so the zones 2, 3, 4, all the way through 10, we're recommending no changes there. Other than the antlerless mule deer verbiage, just some housekeeping there. to make sure that we are protecting our antlerless mule deer. We are starting to see antlerless mule deer or even antlered mule deer outsides of some of those zones. I got a picture from a mule deer in Noble County not too long ago, so that one kind of a very reputable source that sent us that picture, so I believe it. The only changes are going to come from Zone 1. We're just wanting to open up some additional opportunity for antlerless whitetail harvest there. So opening that up to muzzleloader for a limit of 1 during muzzleloader season, opening up gun antlerless season, just the traditional 16-day season, allowing folks up there in Zone 1 to harvest 1 antlerless deer during gun season, and then opening up holiday antlerless season as well for a limit of 2. So this essentially will mirror what is in Zone 10. Really wanting to do this to promote antlerless whitetail harvest obviously at landowner discretion. Starting to see a handful of depredation issues in the world, primarily with whitetail deer. So this will help prevent depred, promote mule deer expansion. There's a lot of competition that goes on between whitetail deer and mule deer. So some of those mule deer to kind of take foothold in necessarily. That's really it that I have there. As far as the season dates, everything's just calendar roll. October 1st through January 15th for archery. Youth gun will be October 16th through the 18th. Muzzleloader October 24th through November 1st. Gun season November 21st through December 6th. Along with holiday antler season the 18th through 31st. As far as deer goes this morning, we'll dive into questions I'd love to answer.
Chairman, I move to approve.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Dean?
Aye.
Commissioner Holbrook?
Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 9, the elk seasons and bag limits. As y'all know, Dallas wears multiple hats. And not only whitetail, mule deer, we're going to talk about elk next. So it's been roughly 10 years since we brought you all a resolution to consider changes in our elk season, quota, bag limits, etc. Dallas is going to do, we have a PowerPoint for this one because it's a little more in-depth. So this has kind of been an ongoing project for the last 2 years, surveying staff, doing some aerial surveys, etc. And Dallas will get into the details on the methodology there, but we did have a town hall meeting for the Special Southwest Zone. Commissioner Zelps and Commissioner Hillary attended, pretty good attendance there. We did that because originally when we set up the elk zones, we had a town hall meeting down there around the refuge area. So it was important to get those landowners' input again. So Dallas will cover all those details and then talk about the resolution.
Yeah, I'll start pushing buttons on this deal. Yeah. There we go. All right. Bill took about 3 of my slides right there, so we're just gonna have to kind of go through this one by one. We're just gonna go over elk management update for 26-27. So to know where we're going, we kind of got to know where we started. In 2013, we conducted surveys to determine elk estimates across the state for proposed statewide elk season. Those surveys resulted in an estimate of about 3,300 elk statewide that helped allow us to create elk zones, propose quotas for each of those zones, and we set many of those zones to be same as statewide deer seasons except for the Special Southwest Zone. This map here represents what that survey resulted in for that 2013 survey. Primarily, the bulk of our elk population are there in the Special Southwest Zone, made up of Comanche, Kiowa, and Caddo counties, with some kind of other populations that are spread out throughout the state. That is to the creation of the elk zones that you guys know exist today. And the goals of those elk seasons remain the same: to maintain elk herds at appropriate biological and social capacities, and also allow for ample hunting opportunities. So ongoing strategies have been monitoring elk numbers statewide. We do that obviously through looking at harvest numbers. Depredation complaints also can kind of give us some keys as far as where elk are starting to expand or become issues for some, or something that other people might like across the fence line. And then obviously our surveys. We've done ODWC staff surveys using Survey 123, where our staff can go in, enter in how many elk they're seeing and where, along with aerial surveys. So that's in partnership along with ourselves, flying surveys. Fort Sill and the refuge have also bolstered those numbers, along with local input. So Bill had mentioned that we'd gone and done a town hall there at Medicine Park to kind of get an idea of where those people are at with us. So what's that resulted in? Statewide harvest history has been impressive. You can see that green line represents overall harvest. We've gone from shooting around 216 back in 2014, we're now to pushing 850 elk, 844 last year as far as harvest goes. So times are good when it comes to elk hunting in our state. Harvest by zone, this is broken down. It's a little busy, but I'll kind of shorten this up for you. Obviously, the Special Southwest carries the boat when it comes to elk harvest in our state, followed by the Panhandle. Put a little circle there to show that's kind of the last time we made a change to some of these resolutions. So in 2016, we raised that quota from 5 to 30 in the Southwest zone. So we had to reevaluate our elk numbers and distribution. So basically, over the last 2 years, we've replicated that survey that we did in 2013. So aerial surveys, we flew 7 different blocks across the state, all the way from the Panhandle, all the way down to Push County. Included local inputs again with that town hall meeting, and then our staff and federal partners also bolster some of that data. Another cool thing we got to do, we partnered on a multi-state grant through the WAFLA organization to support further aerial surveys across regions of the state through the America the Beautiful grant. This targeted aerial survey was flown this past winter in January and February throughout the state, and we plan to replicate those flights again in 26, 27, just to start building some of that trend line data in some of these areas. So the survey results from 123, you've seen that map on the top. That was the 2013 map. Survey 123 spit us out this map on the bottom. The one thing I want to point out is that most of those blocks that you see are locations where elk have already existed and we've known them to exist. So areas where elk have been well established are continuing to grow in population, and there has been some expansion of herds outside of the core areas, but it's been limited to some of the areas where populations seem to be more dense. So some elk population estimates here. Statewide, 2013 we're at 3,300, we're looking closer to 6,000 now. And you can see the breakout of that. The biggest change really comes from the Special Southwest zone and the Panhandle zone. Panhandle zone, obviously, we've got a lot of elk that are moving across state lines there between New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, and Texas, just moving around throughout that part of the area. The southeast zone, you'll see a rise there. A lot of those come, we'll cover some of this here shortly, but a lot of those come from a herd located around the I-35 corridor outside of Springer. Southwest, a really pretty good expansion there. Again, a lot of those elk spend most of their time in Texas, just to the west of Sayre, Beckham County area. And then the Special Southwest zone has increased quite a bit. So the results of the population evaluations and staff inputs, we're recommending some quota changes to the Panhandle and the Special Northwest zone. We're recommending season date adjustments in the Special Southwest zone. Then we're going to recommend establishing a new Special Southeast zone. And we're also going to do some housekeeping, just clarifying definition of antlered and antlerless. Looking at the Panhandle zone, this includes all of Cimarron, Texas, and Beaver counties. Due to growing population estimates, increase in depredation complaints, and the quota being met for the first time in 25-26, we're going to recommend that a quota be raised from 60 to 80 elk, with no more than 60 of those being antlered. So the goal there is to try to promote a little bit more cow harvest, to kind of try to level some of those populations out a little bit. This will allow some of our farmers to kind of take the bull by the horns, help themselves in regards to antlerless elk populations in their areas. Special Northwest zone. Oh, I did want to go back right here. One big driving factor here is that 60 quota. Over the last handful of years, it's been primarily all bulls that are being harvested. Talking 85% plus on average, that harvest is bulls. So giving them kind of a requirement, if we want to meet this quota, 20 of them to be antlerless, almost there, just again to try to help mitigate some issues. Special Northwest zone, again, same kind of story. Due to expanding populations and specifically local input, the following changes being recommended. So the quota forever has been 2. We're gonna change that from 2 to 8, with no more than 3 of which being antlered. So again, people filling that quota extremely quickly in the special Northwest zone. If you don't harvest your elk in the first hour of season, you're having to mail it in until next year. So again, giving some people some more opportunity, allowing a little bit of cow harvest to kind of mitigate some issues that could arise. Moving on to the special Southwest zone. Again, I'll reiterate here, we hosted a town hall meeting with landowners in the special Southwest zone. Both Commissioner Zelps and new Commissioner Hiller were in attendance there. Bill had mentioned the attendance there. I think we had close to 50 people show up to that meeting, so a really good attended meeting there in Medicine Park. Just to gain some input on, man, where are you guys at? Are you happy? Are you mad? What can we do? How can we help? The overall stakeholders, they were satisfied with the current regulations. They're happy down there, but they did support increasing a little bit of early hunting season opportunity, which we'll dive into a little bit here. So previously, they just had a 4-day archery season in October there. We're recommending to move that to 7 days. That would be an either sex season there. An early October gun season as well will occur 7 days immediately following that. So that was a 4-day season, now moving to 7. We did not do anything to the antler point restriction. That was one thing that the landowners there were very adamant about. They appreciate that 5-point rule that they have now. And then all of the December seasons were going to stay the same. So the fun one, the big one, is recommending a new special southeast zone. So you can see that yellow circled area there is going to be a proposed new elk zone, special southeast elk zone. This will be a portion of Carter and Murray counties that lie east of I-35, bag limit of 8, no more than 5 of which may be antlered, and we're recommending the season dates be the same as statewide. The remainder of the southeast zone will remain the same, other than the area found in the special southeast zone. One of the reasons driving this proposal is that there is a herd right around the Springer Airport that is growing rapidly. Estimates 200 to 300 elk, just kind of depending on how the surveys have resulted in what we're seeing there. But it's another area where the quota is being filled really, really quick. When you look at the whole southeast zone, when all 80% of the elk over the last 10 years are coming from Carter County, it's the same kind of situation that the folks in the special Northwest zone were dealing with, where there are multiple other herds in the southeast zone, Johnston, Cole, Push counties, stuff like that, Hughes. Those folks didn't really have much of a chance to harvest an elk because the folks in Carter County are awful efficient at harvesting elk. So with that will still allow some of the folks in the rest of the southeast zone to continue to do some elk hunting. It's also allowing, or mandating essentially some cow harvest. One of the biggest concerns there is life safety. You might have seen some of the pictures from the Ardmore Air Park where there are elk on the runway. So we're trying to help kind of mitigate some of those issues before they become a larger scale. Zones with no proposed changes. So just as important as making changes are realizing areas that we don't need to make any changes in. So the northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest zones, things are going good. People are happy. Quotas aren't being fully met, but there's still plenty of elk that are being harvested. At least just some legal bull definitions. So clarifying some definitions: antlered elk definition, any elk with at least 6 inches of antler above the natural hair line. Antlerless elk is the opposite. Elk with less than 6 inches of antler above the natural. The lines a little more clearly with our antlerless deer regulations, so that way people can kind of even more easily remember that. It also gives a little bit of leeway whenever you're making a judgment call on if you're allowed to harvest that. I want to throw up some cool pictures of some elk here on my final slide and answer any questions. We've got a new state record non-typical elk right there on the left, 411 inches of antler. It was impressive. If you haven't gotten to see that elk in person, I recommend finding a way to do it. Tyson Hebert, he's in the middle. He is a regular attender of Rack Madness and elk from the special Northwest zone. And then just wanted to show some of the genetic diversity that we have here in the state. That elk on the right is starting to show some pretty cool crown points there after his fours. So getting some cool elk harvested in the state, some big elk harvested in the state. Things seem to be going well. So if you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them. I'd love to have your vote of confidence.
Dallas, on that one slide, we're in the red zone. The estimate of 251 to 2,000, that's a big spread. What's the number?
What one were you talking about here?
In the red zone, it was one of the earlier slides, you said the estimate population was 41 to 2,000.
Yeah, so that red zone, so this was 2013, right? So I was, let's see, a sophomore in college. So I'm not sure why they chose to use that metric for here's where we're starting and finishing
It
things.
doesn't tell us a whole lot.
No, it doesn't. I mean, obviously, I think we can
We're
safely
getting better,
say-
right?
You bet. Yeah, it's a lot more fine scale numbers than what was given to us as far as the data from years past. I think that it was really just a metric of anything over 250, we're just gonna call one color. We know for a fact that in 2013, there were a heck of a lot more than 251 elk right there in Comanche County. You can probably see that just from the visitor center at the refuge on any given day. So
We're using drones, aren't we?
I would love to start using some drones. We're using helicopters currently. The real limiting factor with drone surveys is battery life. At this point in time, when you've got transects that are 10, 12, 15, 20 miles long, it really becomes inefficient to survey with drones on that grand of a scale when it comes to acreages. Some of our PMAPs are starting to use drone surveys, on a lot smaller scale, but doing large scale stuff like this, the technology is just not.
Dallas?
Yes, sir.
On the surveys and given our current population and where we're at, what is and I know there's limiting factors with time and finances and everything else to conduct the surveys, but what's the appropriate timelines? Is it every 10 to 13 years? Should we be doing it once every 5 years? What, can you give us guidance on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd love to do it every year, but time and money don't allow us to do that. I think every 5 to 7 would probably be sufficient. We started this process it would have been about 8 years after we made this initial recommendation back in 2013. Probably could have used it a little quicker than that, but just again, time and money kind of the direction that you need to go. But 5 to 7 would be optimal. No more than 10 would probably be where I would like to land. Thank you. But again, just not necessarily knowing that there's one more elk in a zone, but knowing those trend lines, much like how we shape our pronghorn.
The motion approve.
Happy?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Thank you.
All right, Bill on Black Bear.
Yes, sir. Agenda item number 10 is going to be a proposal for a black bear resolution adjustment. And with that, I'm going to have Matt Kingsley come up. He's a senior wildlife biologist in the Southeast region, working with this for almost 23 years. He wears a lot of hats as well. Manages Ouachita National Forest WMA. Black Bear Project leader is probably one of the biggest assignments he has. He does a good job. But as y'all know, y'all passed or opened the season for black bear in southeast Oklahoma in 2009. And since that time, I mean, things have been going well. I know we've had a lot of opinions and things on season dates and whatnot, but I think Matt can reassure us that they're keeping a good eye on it and proper management is taking place. Proposal today is to look at our muzzleloader season for black bear. With the request to remove the quota. I'll let Matt explain why.
Thank you, Bill. So, since 2009, we've had a muzzleloader bear quota. It was originally set and is still set at 20 bears. We have currently harvested at the most 7 in muzzleloader season, and we've only done that twice. The primary reason for the low harvest rate in muzzleloader season is that during late October, bears are transitioning from hunter bait sites to the natural falling mass crop. And that low harvest rate is compounded by the fact that our hunters know this occurs And so most of the hunter participation and effort is taking place during the early archery season. So according to our harvest data and our research data, the removal of the muzzleloader quota would virtually have no impact on the population whatsoever. It would, however, remove some unnecessary burdens from staff as well as our constituents, such as hotline monitoring, website updating, and daily check-ins, as hunters currently have to call in each day before going out, and that would remove some unnecessary burdens from them as well. So in short, we feel like the muzzleloader bear quota is a safety net that served its purpose and is no longer needed at this time, and we would recommend that it be removed. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have one.
Did you have any meetings or to discuss it with any of the hunters in that area, in those areas? Or?
We haven't discussed it publicly, however, we do, Bill may have some.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, I did talk to Commissioner Deal, and I've also talked to Choctaw Nation. They're good with it.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Chapman? Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry? Commissioner Barwick? Commissioner Kane? Commissioner Holden?
All right, next up will be Ken with fisheries and the resolution on crappie bag limit.
Thank you, Chairman Holder. Good morning, Commissioners. For agenda item 11, we are asking you to consider approving a resolution establishing statewide bag and size limits for crappie. We're basically proposing that we move our crappie regulations out of Title 800 into a resolution. The primary advantage to that is it'll, as we manage by resolution, is it will allow us to respond quicker to constituent concerns and other changes in crappie populations. This proposed resolution is in response to constituent concerns regarding Oklahoma's crappie fisheries. Basically, the resolution retains the current statewide 37 fish bag limit and also retains several lake-specific bag and size limit regulations on Arbuckle, Tin Killer, Hudson, Texoma, Fort Gibson, and Grand. However, the crappie bag limit on Lake Shefala and Atoka would be reduced to 20 fish. And then there's also a list of lakes where no bag limits would be in place. That includes Boomer, Dahlgren, Holdenville, Purcell, Shell, Wewoka, and all close to home locations. And these lakes basically have stunted crappie populations. So that means that they don't really grow past about 5 or 6 inches. There's so many crappie out there that they just don't get any bigger than about 5 inches. And so we want to encourage unlimited harvest on those lakes. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Approval of the resolution.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman? Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Thank you.
Nels is up next.
Commissioners, I have 3 emergency rule proposals to bring you, and I'll just touch on each of them. So the first one is related to the Chronic Wasting Disease Genetic Improvement Program. This was a bill passed by the state legislature in 2024, creating a pilot program and authorizing ODWC and Department of Ag to promulgate rules regarding the implementation of that program. And of course, I don't want to belabor the point, but we did also have an Attorney General opinion related to this come out this year, which brings us to emergency rules. And we feel like in discussions with staff that these rules are prudent, reasonable, and protect private landowners. And I'd be happy to answer questions if you have any.
the statute talks about a certain time period. Is that reflected in our rules, or are we just relying on the statute?
So our rules reflect what is in the statute on that. Thank you for the question.
Did the Rules Committee meet on
Yes, and we recommend it.
recommend it? I'll entertain motion.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
So next up is general hunting season migratory game birds. This past legislative session, thank you to our legislative partners. The legislature did pass a bill requiring waterfowl and crane guides and outfitters to possess a license. These specific emergency rules track verbatim with what is in the statute.
Committee also recommended approval of that rule.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
And then for your final consideration, we have an emergency rule proposal regarding non-resident deer hunting licenses, and in specific, a waiting period, which is what would be established in this rules if the person purchased their license once the season has opened. As a reminder, we had an employee, Game Warden Trey Hill, did some very extensive data analysis as part of his leadership development program project. Some of you have seen that. It's fascinating, but also shockingly scary. But essentially, up to 30% of non-resident deer licenses, up to 30% of non-resident deer licenses resulted in a person checking a deer in within 1 hour of purchasing the license. So
that's suspicious.
it is very suspicious, yes. And it's significant. We're talking about, in the case of non-resident license sales, that will translate it in $2 to $4 million is the estimate. If all those folks were actually shooting a deer and then only then purchasing a license. Obviously, they did purchase a license. The question remains, how many additional people did not shoot a deer, never did purchase a license? That's the unknown factor with this. But in many states, I'll point out, non-residents are required to draw a tag before the season even starts. This is a reasonable pre-measure interim step that we feel like is justified based on what we are seeing. It could have significant impacts to the resource and to us financially. The way this would work, I won't be specific with this because some might be thinking 48 hours, our system can let you buy a license or you purchase a license at noon, then you get to hunt on 48 hours just from that. Our license system has certain limitations. One of them is it's a midnight driven data system. So the way this is going to work, if the season is already open, I'm a non-resident, on Monday morning or Monday afternoon, I purchase my deer license. Monday is day one. Tuesday is day two. They will be able to start hunting Wednesday morning. And again, that's because there's not a parameter in the system to designate just 48-hour rule.
Did the data indicate where a lot of these folks were coming from?
I don't remember. I mean, most of our non-resident pressure is from Texas, obviously, so I would assume, maybe a bad assumption, but when a significant portion of your non-resident hunters are coming from Texas, that's likely that they would also be the ones that are buying licenses or checking deer in, or not buying licenses.
Nels, when considering this, how did we come up with the 2 days, given how you explained the measurement of that? And is that enough for law enforcement to be able to appropriately manage that and measure that?
Yeah, good question, and the answer really originates again back with Trey Hill, his leadership development program project, if I'm not mistaken, recommended a 48-hour waiting period. The kicker for us is we have system limitations in the data portion, and that by that meaning somebody's going to purchase a license, it's not going to show up in their cart until the system can't be programmed to just type in 48 hours. It triggers every night at midnight. So we felt like it was more reasonable to say the day you make the purchase is day 1, then day 2, then it shows up on day 3. Otherwise, it would essentially be a 72-hour waiting period because you'd be day 1, day 2. The third day would then be really day 2. So we felt like it was a nice compromise because we also looked at 24 hours, just a 24-hour waiting period, but again, that would be a situation where if you bought it today and it shows up tomorrow, that didn't feel like a good way to address the problem. Law enforcement felt like it's not easy to hide a deer for 48 hours. If you're sitting on a cooler at deer camp, you're getting nervous about, getting checked, getting caught. Whereas one day, in people's minds, maybe it's an easier violation for them.
Are we going to push for any change in the penalty for shooting a deer without a license?
Those discussions will happen, no doubt. It is clear that the financial incentive to violate the law, especially when you're looking at non-resident, is, when your fines and penalties might be similar to what the license cost itself is, it's challenging. I mean, it's a challenge that our state is facing and other states are facing as they try to grapple with non-resident pressure. I'm grateful to the commission that we have taken measures to try to address this in a manner that is befitting of the problem, and let's see what it does. I mean, we'll be able to track data and we'll be able to come back to you and tell you, hey, this is the trend line, just like the elk trend line. Here's your license purchase versus check-in trend line, and we will know whether or not this is effective, I believe.
And Nels, if let's hope it is, but if it's not, and we need to adjust fines, is that something that the commission would address, or is that something that would be a legislative solution?
It would be a legislative solution.
Okay. Thank you.
I think a non-resident draw would clear up a lot of that.
Agree.
We should be looking at that with high quotas.
We do appreciate very much so our non-resident hunters. I mean, they're an important piece to this department. And, it's different, but it's similar to a fishing license too. If I go fishing in another state, well, I'm buying my fishing license the day I get there. So,
The one issue that I could say is my son's an outfitter, and they book those hunts a year in advance, and then you're waiting right up to rearrange all, all of a sudden half of his hunters didn't draw.
Well, that's my point of having a high quota, and that would be based on license sales.
Right.
The last 5 years. In other words, everybody's gonna draw. But we're controlling it. South Dakota does that.
I see.
and when they purchase the license, you control that too in a draw. It'd be up front. But that could solve the issue too that we think is happening.
Yeah, it would
This
definitely
is a
solve
good
it.
first step.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning, Oklahoma still has some of the most generous non-resident deer hunting opportunities in the United States. That's as a non-resident or non-resident landowner, you're able to hunt 2 bucks in the state of Oklahoma, just like our residents.
We have a
Very
lot.
few states have anything like that.
Yeah, we have the data for the last 3 or 4 years I know of, even with the changes to the fees. So we know what our numbers are as far as non-resident deer hunters go, and that would be helpful in assessing that.
All right, entertain a motion to approve.
Yeah, the Rules Committee recommends approval.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Yeahan?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Commissioner Holden?
All right, we're moving down to 13. Entertain a motion to approve our minutes from the May 4th, 26th regular commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Yeahan?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Commissioner Holden?
Wade, you're up.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commission. I'll give some director highlights this morning. The full report is in your packet. Start out with the first calendar item, and that is July 20 through the 23rd. The department is hosting the Association for Conservation Information Conference. Micah, if you don't mind, would you give us kind of a brief update on the who, what's, when, and where of that? There's a lot of planning going on there. It's a big deal. Mike can give you a few details on that.
The Association for Conservation Information is the national organization for communication branches of state fish and wildlife agencies, as well as federal organizations and other NGOs such as Ducks Unlimited or National Wild Turkey Federation. Every year those folks get together in a national conference. There'll be about 110, maybe more than that, coming to Oklahoma City on July 20th and 23rd. So we're excited to host. We're going to put on a big conference.
Thank you. Shout out to Blake in CNE, who's kind of spearheading the organization of this thing, and Kelly, big part of that. It's no small task, so we're going to have the best one ever. So thanks to them and the entire crew team that is helping put this on in CNE. Quickly, I'll run through some agency updates in admin. We had Andrea, Amanda, and Vicki working on the 27 budget prep. That involves a lot of time, effort, energy. Special thanks to the Finance Committee and all the divisions, chiefs, assistant chiefs, and everybody on down that have been part of that. That goes on for months. We have finally landed on a budget that you'll hear about in a little bit here. Just a shout out to Commissioners Dillingham, Halter, Chapman, and Mabry for the time that you've spent within committee and us. We're just wearing you out, so thank you for that. I know it pays well and you're thankful for it, but couldn't do it without you, so special thanks there. In accounting, milestone meetings for capital projects, Hatbury Flat, pipeline engineer selection, Push WMA shooting range pre-construction meetings, Cherokee WMA low water crossing, final walkthrough, and then license, just wrapped up the control hunt app and notifications. Woohoo, some of you got your own, some of us weren't so lucky again. I'm wondering if preference points even help. I'm kind of joining that team of, wow, it's just tough to draw. So if you drew, you're one lucky person. In IT, we're working on the second phase, and this is big news, of the Oklahoma room upgrade. So good things coming there. Relocating off-site disaster recovery servers, and we have deployed a new batch of laptops. New property, we've upgraded security cameras. We're working on some window tinting to work on utility bills and some protection of the diorama out front. And then in federal aid, indirect cost negotiations ongoing with DOI. In fisheries, you saw a crappie proposal resolution. Staff conducted crappie removal at Boomer Lake. This was a manpower hungry operation. for 6 days, more than 30 department staff and OSU students removed. This is crazy. 23,508 crappie, totaling 2,339 pounds of biomass. This effort involved 150 trap net nights and 680 minutes of trawling. The goal was to address the crappie overabundance issue at Beamer Lake to promote better growth conditions. So you have too many crappie, too few crappie, you got growth issues, it's just crappie are a big deal. So from one lake to another, things are different, and that's where by resolution, regulations can be adjusted to address our needs. That is a lot of crappie. And Richard, did you say they were like 6 inches or less average?
Average, I think, was right around 7.5 to 8 inches.
Yeah, 8 inches, yeah. Also, staff from across the state fisheries have begun electrofishing for largemouth bass as part of spring sampling to evaluate population trends, fish health, growth, and genetic composition. They've also been continuing with public outreach and education by holding youth fishing clinics, supporting Big 5 fishing events, working with schools and FFA groups, and participating in podcasts while assisting with bass tournament fish care and all other type of fisheries educational activities. In C&E, a lot of shooting range stuff going on with Bitter Creek, Lexington WMA, Canton. We're going to wrap up hopefully Lexington and Canton here soon. We had Paige Wise, who was undertaking the first major revision of the Hunter Ed hard copy manual. Kelly Adams and Jacob Tyson attended the National R3 Symposium in Des Moines, Iowa. They got a little bit of kind of trending but negative news on hunter participation throughout the country is still on the decline, dropping from 81% in 2021 to 73% today that approve of hunting. So the work continues. It's a hard grind to educate and keep folks on board in that R3 initiative. A lot of people are losing interest, and then there's a lot of people that are just losing support for hunting, so we've got to keep doing our job. Kelly Adams also presented at the Wildlife Division meeting about the game harvest survey and their our R3 strategic plan. And the C&E division led a plan to replenish depleted funds for the successful Stars and Stripes license project. Thanks to Mike and Kelly on that one, and Sean especially when I presented that at the foundation meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Barwick and others on the foundation to ask for $10,000 annually, just kind of earmarked for Stars and Stripes, which is a great program for our veterans. It was just unanimous. They just approved that, and we're going on down the road with Stars and Stripes. So that $10,000 is huge to the department and our veterans. So thanks for everyone that was part of that, and the foundation, and everybody within the foundation. In Wildlife Division, I think Bill Scott would say we had a great wrap up on spring turkey season with harvest being up. If you're in the West, you can verify the turkey numbers when we were once kind of spooked with an 80% decline in population in the Southwest. To today's numbers, wildlife is pretty durable. They bounced back quite well. Numbers were good and hunter success was good. Staff attended the Wichita Mountains 125th anniversary, showcasing our strong partnership with the Fish and Wildlife Service, one of the best partnerships we have. Private land staff made 96 technical assistance visits to 43 different counties, so we're getting stuff done on public and private land. 30 staff members attended the Boone Crockett Pope-and-Young official measuring workshop at Arcadia, so we have a bunch of new measures out there. So it'll be a big help to things like backwoods and rack madness and everywhere else in all counties across the state. That's a big boost to those that are measuring. And a lot of time and effort is put into drafting proposed resolutions and rules that you heard about this morning. Bill, Scott, thanks for grinding on that. It's been a busy month. In law enforcement, a couple of wardens to point out. Warden Cornett in D6 completed a whip case that resulted in all types of charges: unlawful use of an ID card, unlawful use of a computer, obtaining a license by false information, hunting without a non-resident license, hunting without a non-resident deer gun license, and illegal possession of big game. Nathan, I don't mean to surprise you, but like I did surprise Mike, I want to surprise you a little bit. Could you give us just a little blip on WIT and what that team does?
The WIT team is a group of volunteers from our game warden numbers, and they have some specialized training, and one of their teams, they're split into two teams. One of their teams is license fraud, so they spend a lot of their time looking through the computer branch system and then looking through check-in data and working on cases of that nature, which, as we can tell from earlier, is getting to be a problem with non-residents and residents both harvesting deer and then buying their license and checking it in pretty close thereafter. So this team focuses a lot of their time on that.
Very good. So we had Wardens Taylor and Cleveland D6 investigating turkey hunters hunting on Waurika WMA. We had two hunters that were hunting the WMA, shooting across the road. Somebody turned them in, found out there were actually 3 hunters, but one was kind of hiding in the turkey habitat and they couldn't find him, but he surfaced. All kinds of stuff there: illegal possession of turkeys, hunting without permission, all that good stuff that turkey hunters do. It's kind of hard to hide, especially if you got 2 buddies and they're caught and you're going to be the only one that gets off. They're probably going to, even if your friends say, yeah, he's hiding over there, we're all going to hang out over here. We had Warden Blackbird in District 7, working black cattle. Had an estimate of 265 vehicles on opening day, turkey. I remember one time somebody asked, does anybody even hunt these WMAs? 265 vehicles, and if you average turkey hunters, it's probably 1.5 hunters per vehicle. That's a lot of folks kicking around on black cattle. But Warden Blackburn was able to catch up with 3 Georgia residents that drove by, and one hunter conveniently jumps out, shoots from the road, and he gets caught as well, and he paid the price. Anyway, it's not worth it. It's just a turkey. And then the Game Warden Honor Guard, led by Captain Bickerstaff, was present at the Oklahoma Law Enforcement Memorial Service this year in force. And Law Division added William L. Pickens to the wall. He was one that kind of slipped through the cracks. We recognize those that are lost in the line of duty or in service, and he is now going to be recognized. And if you haven't seen it, I think it's 2nd floor. We've got everybody lost in the line of working for ODWC. Memorials up there on the 2nd floor. That's a pretty good initiative, and we'd like to recognize those that were dedicated and lost their lives to the things we do. That's all I have. I would like to point out, Nels, if you have any legislative updates, I don't know that there's any, but speaking of legislators, I do want to recognize Representative Rusty Cornwell, one of our true wildlife fish conservation friends at the Capitol. If you're a hunter, fisherman, recreationalist, Representative Cornwell is one of those guys that he gets it, he does it, he's involved in it, and we appreciate you, and appreciate you for attending.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to recognize and congratulate Kelly Adams. Kelly, can you stand up? I was at the WAFA conference in Boise, Idaho, and I think Kelly was the only one from Oklahoma that won an award. Am I right? It's a conservation change agent. So congratulations on that.
Okay, next up, we're going to have the budget, but to preface Andrea's presentation and present it to us, I want to say a few things as chairman of the Finance Committee. You've all received the proposed 27 budget. The Finance Committee worked closely with ODWC staff to develop a fiscally responsible budget. Revenue has been budgeted conservatively as the 24 license fee bill yielded up a jump in revenue in 25, but a more gradual 2% increase in 26. We're optimistic that the trend will continue. This budget does expect to draw interest from the lifetime license account to support ODWC operations, which is how those funds were intended. As with the license revenue, we need to budget drawdowns conservatively as the investment market has been very volatile this past year. 18 months ago, ODWC staff and finance committee began a compensation study to ensure our pay structure was correct for all positions and competitive with the market. The contractor, Korn Ferry, made some recommendations, and with this 27 budget, we're taking the first step toward implementation of those. The budget also reflects statutory required increases to the longevity pay, an increase to our hourly wage rate, and an increased contribution to the pension plan to make sure our plan stays well funded. We're planning a 1% cost of living increase for the retirees, which we believe can be funded from existing revenue in the pension plan. The overall budget is 9% lower than the 26. That's largely related to a decrease in capital expenditures in the budget. Some big projects have completed, such as the dam repairs at Lake Watonga, Jack Beaver. We still do have quite a few capital expenditures in the budget, and more to come as infrastructure continues to age, and we work on other agency priorities such as expanded shooting and voting access for Oklahomans. And with that, I'll turn it over to Andrea to get into the details.
I think you covered it. We're good. Okay, the FY27 budget, as Commissioner Holder mentioned, was really a collaborative process that took many months, as Wade mentioned, to get where we are today. It kind of starts, I'll just give you a brief overview. It starts with each of the divisions, the 5 divisions, identifying what they need in their baseline budget, as well as any requested add-ons and capital expenditures that they may have. And then based on that, we work with our federal aid staff to identify how much grant revenue can be anticipated based on the projects that have been selected. We estimate our license revenue as well as any other revenue like interest income. Human Resources helps develop the personnel budget. The directors met with each division to go over in fine detail their budgets and their add-on requests and they can justify everything. And then the Commission Finance Committee met with us. I was trying to count, and it was at least a dozen times, and then we had another one last week, so make that 13 times in the last 6 months, more if you go all the way back to the beginning of the compensation study. So a lot of work from the Finance Committee, and I really appreciate that. The proposed budget book went out to you guys on June 12th, and here we are today. This first slide is the comparison of our budget expenditures. The 3 green columns are, the first one is FY25, the next one's 26, and the final is 27. And then going left to right across, we have the first section is salary and benefits, including temporary workers. So our FY27 budget request is $40,710,872, or a 7% increase from last year. Our operations budgets within the divisions is $26,473,858, or a 2% increase from last year. So those total $67,184,730,000, or a 5% increase. Our capital expenditures budget is $18,297,766, which, as Commissioner Holder mentioned, is a decrease from last year as a reflection of some major projects wrapping up. And also we have a number of projects that are in the planning stage, engineering, compliance work, environmental assessments and stuff like that. It's by no means a reflection of being done with capital expenditures. We have a lot more that we need in the future. And then the last 2 things there show refunds and transfer to lifetime license fund. Those are a reflection of money in, money out. So this is the expenditure portion. We have to transfer money to our when we sell lifetime licenses, those monies are received by the department, and then we monthly transfer those to the trust fund. That is $2 million that we're estimating, down from $3 million last year. As we increase the price of our lifetime licenses 2 years ago, it's reflected a downward, we got a dip in our sales. And then the one above that, refunds, it's kind of a misnomer in the name. That is actually We sell federal duck stamps, so we collect that money and then turn it back over to the federal government. We sell, we have some special use permits on federal properties for controlled hunts that we collect the fees and then turn it over to the federal government. Those are both convenience factors for our hunters. And then also the Lake Texoma license. We both Texas and Oklahoma sell those licenses, and then we cost share we share the profits. We get to keep 70% and send 30% to Texas, and they do the reciprocal. Okay, so how are we going to pay for this $88 million budget? So there's two slides here on revenue. This first one, again, has the three columns, 25, 26, and 27. I'll focus on the final column of 27. I'm not going to read you all those numbers. The top one is license sales. We have estimated $29.4 million, which is the same as we estimated this year. Budget conservatively, right? Like, it'd be great if it's higher than that, but we want to be conservative in our estimates on revenue. So $29.4 million there. A couple numbers down, a big number, $38.9 million. That is our estimated grant revenue, and that is, as I mentioned earlier, a reflection of the projects that are identified in the budget. And it is down from last year, so that kind of goes hand in hand with the decrease in expenditures on capital expenditures. And then right underneath that is the $6 million that we are budgeting to pull from the Lifetime Trust, the same as the current fiscal year 26. So these revenue sources total $80 million. I remember the budget was 88, so how do we close the gap? So we have the first section there, the orange bar all the way to the right. We have $5.5 million of cash on hand in our revolving funds that helps to close that gap. And then the second orange bar is the $3.1 million that I was mentioning earlier, that's cash in, cash out. So our lifetime sales and our Lake Texoma, the duck stamp, those things that I mentioned earlier are the $3.1 million. So the total revenue from all sources is $88,726,671, which is slightly more than the budgeted expenditures, leaving us with an anticipated revenue over budget of $129,000. Okay, what are we going to spend it on? So I went through the divisions and kind of came up with some highlights. A lot of what you heard in the director's report is just our normal operations stuff. So in Wildlife Division, all of our WMAs, running those, the operations and maintenance, habitat work, equipment is always a need to replace and continue to maintain and upgrade equipment, infrastructure, gravel, culverts, things like that. And then just general support of the wildlife programs, big game, upland game, private lands, migratory birds, diversity, research, GIS, our lands and minerals coordinator. Wildlife also has a lot of pass-through research at universities, and there is a new eastern elk population study starting in July. Excited about that. In Fisheries Division, some of their budget is for O&M of their hatcheries. They also have equipment, infrastructure. They also help manage the public fishing areas. General support of fisheries programs, trout program, close to home fishing, a lot of things that are not on there, electrofishing, all the different things that fisheries does. They do quite a bit of internal research as well as pass-through research, and Fisheries has an exciting project coming up this year for a large-scale habitat project on Eufaula that I know they're excited about. In law enforcement, a lot of their budget is related to safety gear, also fuel and replacement of trucks and boats, a lot of emphasis on training. Every year we have new game wardens that go through some extensive training. There's also firearms training, defensive tactics trainings, forensics training, and a couple of add-on items for law enforcement this year. They have a need for evidence storage units across the state, so they have requested 8 Connex-type buildings, one in each of the 8 districts, to flesh out to be evidence storage units. And also they are beginning I think it's going to be a multi-year process of upgrading the radios in all their trucks to be better quality and compatible with OHP. And then C&E division, so C&E stands for Communications and Education. On the communication side, support for their Outdoor Oklahoma magazine, the TV show, social media, website, all the things that C&E does. Education programs, we have Hunter Ed, Aquatic Ed, Archery in the schools, Fishing in the schools, Oklahoma Scholastic Shooting Sports Program, etc. R3, you heard Wade mention R3. And then C&E is also responsible for maintenance of the Arcadia Conservation and Education area. And then in admin, general support for human resources, accounting, federal aid, license, information technology and property, headquarters maintenance like this building, warehouse. For our budget this year, we requested some add-on funds to upgrade some of our conference rooms, both in terms of furniture and also technology, making them into Microsoft Teams rooms. And then admin division budgets all of the IT needs for the whole agency, so laptops, servers, software, etc. And then capital expenditures are always kind of fun to look at. So this first slide is the capital expenditure list for Wildlife Division. I'm not going to read all that, but the first section relates to leases of land, so places where we have land that's been made available to the public. So Three Rivers, Honaby, the Heron Family, WMA, Land Access Program, OLAP. We have some habitat projects on this list. And then our ongoing land acquisition, which focuses on in-holdings and adjacent properties to our WMAs that help make better boundaries and more contiguous wildlife management. Of course, any of those that have not already been approved by the commission would come to the commission for approval before a purchase was made. And then some infrastructure, Drummond Flat, Mountain Park. Fisheries has a whole bunch of boating and fishing access projects, as always. Spread across the state. And some of those names might look familiar. It takes a couple of years to get these projects off the ground and really going. So sometimes we have to rebudget some of these. Ongoing hatchery renovations. It looks like we're wrapping up the Manning Reservoir, a new reservoir being built at the Manning Hatchery, but still ongoing needs everywhere. Durant needs an indoor rearing facility. Holtonville is dealing with some otter problems, and they're going to nip that in the bud with a massive fencing project. Some buildings, the Porter office, we need to do something about our Porter office. This first amount of money is for the engineering to plan. Then, of course, next year probably construction funds will be requested. Heavy equipment building, storage buildings. Our new Stillwater office has some needs, an office fence, around a fence, and then a storage building. C&E, a whole list of shooting ranges again, and you can tell by the dollar amounts that it looks like Fort Gibson is going into a construction phase, as is Cherokee. And I believe this will wrap up our project in Altus at the Bitter Creek Shooting Range. Yay! The archery range at Arcadia, these funds, I believe, are for our wrapping up the engineering phase of that project. And then C&E, as I mentioned earlier, is responsible for the Arcadia building. They need to do some modification to the building to add a door on the back side of the building. And then here in this building, reconfigure an office space for a C&E supervisor. Likewise, in admin, we need to reorganize a working space for the assistant chief of admin. And that is everything. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions? Of course, the Finance Committee was involved and we approved this budget.
No questions, just a comment to thank you, Andrea, Vicki, and the leadership team for all your time and dedication and hard work on this. It's never easy, never enough funds to meet all the needs. And I think you all have done a great job of prioritizing things, and we really appreciate your efforts. And I second the motion.
Looked like a lot of work.
Lots of weekends for Andrea working on
Good
it.
job, Andrea.
I'll second Chad's comments as well.
I would even say that it's impressive when Director Free makes 7:30 a.m. meetings. That was just for Commissioner Neal not being here.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Financial.
Okay, normally in June, we would be doing the April financials, but this was an opportunity to be a little more current than that. Since the June commission meeting was pushed back so late, it was an opportunity to get the May financials, which is pretty cool. Okay, this first slide looks at our expenditures from the lens of budget compared to actual expenditures. So our fiscal year 26 budget is $97.6 million. And actual expenditures through May 31st were $66 million, for about 68% of the budget spent, which is not, I mean, there's a whole bunch more that's encumbered on purchase orders, and then another payroll, so it's gonna be a lot closer to 100%. This slide looks at our expenditures from a cash flow perspective, looking at all bills paid from July 1 through May 31st. So for this year, that was $73,107,544, compared to last year, same time, $67,134,997, or a 9% increase. This looks at our revenue as coming through the Go Outdoors process. We, through May 31st, $33,535,037, compared to this time last year, $32,942,129, which is where we're kind of talking about that 2% increase in license sales. This looks at the revolving funds cash balance across all of our funds for a total of $23,724,312. This is the combined balances across all of the trust funds as of May 30th of this year, $381,662,292, compared to this time last year, $326,800,254. And then we'll do the deep dive into the three trust funds. The Lifetime Trust Fund had an April 30th balance of $185,843,845. And then you can see the activity throughout the month of May, which included our second drawdown of lifetime license interest in fiscal year 26. We drew down $3 million. We drew the first $3 million down in, I think it was September. So the budgeted amount of drawdown for fiscal year 26 was $6 million. This completes that. But I think it's kind of cool to see that even though we drew $3 million, the market performed very well, and our ending balance was still higher than our starting balance of $188,036,343. This next slide is the pension or defined benefit trust fund. The April 30th balance was $168,244,857. Activity throughout the month of May left us with a net income of $5,234,607 and an ending balance of $173,479,465. In our defined contribution retirement plan, had an April ending balance of $13,821,366, a little over $500,000 in income during May, and a net May ending balance of $14,403,183. And so we have two slides for contributions. These are the contributions received in April for your consideration, totaling $5,837. And for May, totaling $112,500.
Approve those.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Commissioner Holder?
Thank you, Honor. The Commissioner Barwick will now have some discussion on our Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Foundation.
Mr. Chairman, it's this time of year again, right before our next fiscal year. We re-elected Ethan House as president. The position of vice president, secretary, treasurer still open. We're still considering those. The candidates to be reappointed this year are Ethan House for a 2-year term, Tess Monty for a 2-year term, and myself for a 1-year term. If you can believe it, we've been on the foundation for over 9 years. And I'm sure you're familiar with all those candidates. 2 new ones, Matt Schurman for a 3-year term and our own Mark Mabry for a 3-year term. I sent around to all you commissioners information on both candidates. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
I'd move for approval with our appreciation for results.
Second.
Commissioner Chapman?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Commissioner Holder?
Thank you. Now we'll entertain a motion if we need to go into executive session to discuss our legal.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Commissioner Dillingham?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick? Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Commissioner Holder?
I move that we go back to the open session. Second.
Commissioner Dillingham? Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Kane?
Aye.
Commissioner Holder?
Just to stand up for Ryan Leonard, he did email us and indicated he didn't have a lot to talk about, so.
Nothing to discuss.
Yeah, I don't want everyone to think that Mr. Leonard wasn't present. That was, he emailed prior, so.
Okay. Is there any new business? If not, announce that our July 6th meeting is canceled, so we won't be meeting in August. With that,
If I could, just one other announcement. We'd be remiss on 2 points. One, we recently lost a icon in the world of conservation and wildlife management, particularly here with Department, with the passing of John Grondike. And so we just wanted, on behalf of all of us, to publicly acknowledge John's 44 years of service to this department, which was unparalleled across the country, and he will be greatly missed by many. And then I also, on behalf of the commission, wanted to thank Commissioner Holder for doing yeoman's work and a great job serving as chairman this past year. We really appreciate all your leadership and steady hands. Thank you, Rick.
And I echo what Chad just said about John Grondike and Rick. So.
thank you. Appreciate that. Been a very enlightening experience.
You didn't say fun.